Hey, this is Noogie from GuardianTalesGuides.com, and rather than do a video on gameplay, which I usually do, I'm going to do it on the website that most of the people have found this on. Just because there's a lot of stuff on the website that I don't think people realize. So, first things first, like I made this website for my guild, plain and simple. I I wanted to kind of track things a lot better. We raid. That's kind of our whole point as our guild is we're big on raiding. We like Conquest. So I wanted to be able to track things better for us and just understand what we're doing and how we can do it better. I've made websites for a long time, video game websites, so I figure why not? It's kind of fun, right? So I'm going to kind of take you through the things that you should know that you may not already know. First and foremost, uh, patch notes. So you can find the patch notes. Usually there's a big one right here. But patch notes you can find there, and it goes all the way back. And these are all the patch notes that we've kind of watched. So the next patch note you can see, it's going to have Augment's weapon on it. It's got those are the banners. It's always got the banners on it, and it'll go through it. It doesn't have a lot of pictures because I'm lazy, and usually text is just enough to get an idea exactly what you're dealing with. It'll have all the prices of the paid packages, and so on and so forth in USD. So that's good. It's always good to know what you're expecting, always. As far as raids go, which is kind of what the site is mainly designed for, you go to raids, right? And you'll get all the bosses. And here's all the bosses for our current tier. So let's go into Duncan real quick. And we'll show you the boss damage on level 86. If we have 86, we'll show it. If we don't have 86, we'll show whatever the level is. And it'll kind of give you an idea of kind of what you're working with, right? The main thing here is that we want people to be able to go to Duncan or whatever boss and then go, what teams are viable? And then look through there and go, oh, I've got that team and this is how it did. And then the other thing is you can actually click on it, go load out some videos, and you can see the loadout, the timing, usually we have that in there, the loadout of what you're using against said bosses, and then you can actually see a video of that fight in play, right? If we have them. And you can do this for basically any boss that we have. Goblin Chief, they may not have the loadouts, but they usually have some videos. And you can kind of get an idea by watching the videos, what the timings are, kind of what you need to be doing on that boss. It's huge. Like, it's a massive helper. And the reason why I did this is because on Discord in your guild, usually what happens is you just throw up a lot of videos and a lot of information, and it gets scrolled past, and then other people come in that haven't been able to go to Discord, and they're like, hey, how do you do this? And it's like, this is just good. You just link them, say, go to the site, look at the bosses, and we're good players that kind of populate the site, so you're not going to see a lot of crap. It's going to be good content. It's going to be intelligent raid content. So that's kind of raids. Guardians, pretty much everybody knows how to do the chain manager. I might have to update this because Expedition kind of allows you to do 12 on the chain instead of just 4, but we'll see. Chain manager is pretty obvious. It allows you to chain into whatever it is you're doing, right? So that's kind of big. The other thing is you can do like Coliseum, the overall rankings, the best teams, and it just gives you a better idea of what's going on there. The other thing that's kind of big is we have influencers. This may not sound that big, but what it does is that you can kind of go through on some of the influencers, and more or less a lot of them are Korean, just because that content comes out before it hits us. So we want to be prepared, right? So they've got 2 weeks on us. That means we can watch their videos for 2 weeks, get an idea, and like let's say their new raid content starts today for them. In fact, in like 3.5 hours. They just found out this morning, or let's say last night, what raid content they'd be fighting, right? We get 2 weeks head notice on it. So we can just watch them. They'll do all the effort. They'll do all the work. They'll figure out the best strategies. And by far and away, they are way more advanced than us on their accounts. Always. They are. KR is the most advanced server there is. And it's not because of a 2 week thing. It's because they put a lot of money into it. The players there are no joke. I think the top 4 guilds in the world are all on KR, and then we have a European one, and then it goes back to KR. It's ridiculous. nonetheless, they put a lot of time in, a lot of effort, and they put a lot of videos up, and you can go and usually find really, really, really solid gameplay. We don't put them on here if they're not really good, but you can watch all these videos, get an idea of the raid mechanics, and so on and so forth, and it gets populated every day. Guilds. So this is something that I'm kind of big on, and this is one of the first functions we made on the site, is we made guild damage, right? So these are the guilds that the raid damage. These are the raid seasons that I have updated for our guild, right? And it doesn't take much to update. At the end of a raid season, you just type in everybody's damage, just like that, and it goes on there, right? And what you get is you get charting for every single raid season you've ever done, right? So, like, I don't know, 2 years ago we did Space Odyssey, and I think I led with 133 million. Now we're up to like 70 or 780 million, right? But you can see as your guild shifts over time, your members, and so on and so forth. It's really just good to kind of get that thing. And it'll also show you an improvement chart, who has improved over the last raid. Because as guildies, if we really are watching people's progression, this is a really easy way to do it. But that takes 15 minutes, one person, 15 minutes at the end of a raid season, and you have 2 weeks before, you get a whole week before the next raid starts to enter in the data. It's a really, really, really easy way to historically grab all your data. And you can always look back and go, this player sucked, or whatever it is, we should move him, we should get rid of him, whatever. Conquest maps. This is actually super fun, but nobody really knows about this yet. This is our Conquest map. You can actually create your own Conquest path. And then that's what it is, right? So you can actually you can click on each of the monsters, find out what's going on. Now I actually edited this, so created that. But you can basically look at all the Conquest stuff. Now, keep in mind, I am on a KR guild that's not super amazing, right? I think we're like rank 300. But at the same time, like, we go through Conquest, and I can only fill in the data that I see in front of me, right? So we'll definitely, by the end of the first week, we'll definitely get this far. We might even walk into the cave, but whenever I get that data, I update this site. And a lot of the second half of the data, I'll probably update when I get to global, when my guild can actually get there. Otherwise, I'm kind of scrounging for the data otherwise. But I can actually see what it all looks like and make the map and all that, and then you can actually create your own maps. And it'll tell you how many nodes you got, or like attempts, so on and so forth. And I'm going to update it later to show how much boss damage you need. But it's a pretty good idea. It's a pretty good kind of system. The other one, personal roster. So a personal roster, this is another thing I created the site for. You can actually go in and create your personal roster, right? So on my site, or on this site, there's Ogden with a rifle, Ogden with a sword. We separate them out when they have a different X. They're just basically different characters. So that's kind of I chose to kind of signify them on the site. Just because it makes data organization easier. But you can see all the characters that I have, because I've just filled them in, what their levels are, and how many pluses on their X weapon they have, and if they're awakened, right? That kind of does some intelligent decision making on the site. But the main thing here is if you do this to your profile, you can link your profile to another person, right? So my profile. This is my profile, right? So you can see I have all these characters with +5 weapons because I'm a huge nerd. And but yeah, you kind of get an idea of what's going on. You can look at somebody's stuff and go, hey, these are the heroes that I have. What's my best team? Or, I can look at somebody's account and go, wow, okay, yeah, you need to step it up on the basic team or whatever. But it's really good to help audit somebody else or get audited. Yeah. The last thing I'll say is guides. There's a lot of guides in here. Most of the guides don't really get outdated with time, most of them, but some of them do. I've got a lot of expedition and raid information in there. I'm usually kind of a verbose person. It's at a lot of statistics on how you figure some of this stuff out. And this is the one I use more than any of them, is I actually look at the rounds per hit points for raid. But and then it has, you know, just merch, damage boost, all that stuff like that. So that kind of stuff you can throw out to guildies or whatever. If somebody goes like, "Hey, I want to raid," it's like, all right, well, link in the raiding guide, you know. But I mean, they actually are useful. I keep up with them. I even have some actual raid fights in there, but the raid fights are kind of, they give you the setup, kind of the scripted encounter, yada yada yada. But nevertheless, hopefully that helps kind of navigate the site, because I mean it's super crazy useful. We use it for all of our stuff, and we've got our shit together. Maybe you can too. But either way, have a good one. Look out.